Welcome to the Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life. On today's podcast, I'm going to talk about this party that I went to over the weekend for a while, a couple of different times. And I'm also going to have my husband discuss his interpretation of the party because it was a really, really great party. So enjoy. All right, let's talk about this party that I went to on Saturday. Now, this party it started at 7, and it was in the closer of the two locations that we normally go to up north. And it ended up being a very fun party. When we first got there, we were there with Linda, who is a regular at the parties that we go to. And we were talking about all sorts of things that had to do with her job because her job is very interesting. And so we were talking to her and chilling out. And there was one other girl there, and it was her birthday. And she was turning 32. And she was wandering around quietly doing her thing, dressed in her lingerie, and just basically chilling out, putting stuff away, packing up some condoms to put into her lingerie, doing things, busy work really. And then she spoke. And she spoke like this because it was her birthday. And now I don't have a problem at all with how you choose to conduct yourself. It's your life, it's your choice. But there are certain notes, octaves, ranges that I'm not feeling, or I'm feeling too harshly. So just for my ears, for the sake of my ears, I nicknamed her Minnie Mouse because she had such a high-pitched baby talk voice that I just couldn't get past it. And so then we were standing there and we were talking and everything was just sort of like casual and normal. And then a couple of guys showed up. And one of the guys came in and without a whole lot of like preamble, latched on to Minnie Mouse. Latched onto her like he wanted to play with her. Latched onto her like he was going to take her in the other room and do whatever he wanted to her. And was sort of told, hey, calm down. It's not time yet. And so then he decided that he wanted to use it was a light up party. So basically black lights everywhere. And you're supposed to use these markers to write on yourself so that you glow in the dark. And it's very cool. So I didn't get drawn on because I'm not really big on trying to get those markers to work and all that other good stuff. So Linda and Minnie Mouse went into the room with this gentleman so that they could get arted up. And they weren't working, so there was a lot of drama unfolding there. But there was another gentleman there who I'm going to call Tay Diggs. Tay, because he was so adorable. He was so cute. He was so ripped. And he looked a lot like Tay Diggs. And he was very funny because he sat down and we were just chatting about nothing. And then all of the sudden, my guy Jay comes through the door. And Jay and I have partied in the past, and I've spoken about him. And he was actually working with my husband to get me some music for my podcast. So when Jay came in, he was like, hey. And I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And so I brought him over and I wanted to talk to him about what I wanted for the music for my podcast. And he said, oh, okay, I totally get it. I totally understand now, because we were having a lot of trouble trying to communicate this through, we're trying to pitch ideas through email. And I don't know how creative any of you are, but pitching through email, pitching ideas through email is rough. It is like trying to decipher tone. It is trying to decipher intent. It is trying to decipher a creative idea, which doesn't necessarily translate into words. Sometimes you need visual and you need animation and you got to see more than you hear when you're doing something creative, or you got to see more than you read something creative. And so when we were sitting there together, he was like, I totally get it. Which, of course, Tay then was asking me, what is this for? What are you doing? I'm so intrigued. And I said, oh, I have a podcast. To which he then subscribed almost immediately. And I had to, of course, tell him a couple of stories from the podcast to basically give him an idea of what it is that I talk about. So he's super excited about being on this particular podcast and being mentioned. So anywho, so because of the fact that Minnie Mouse had basically what I like to call an overeager stalker, the host decided that he was going to start the party early because he didn't think that he was going to be able to get them to wait long enough, but he didn't know what was actually going on. So, he goes ahead and starts the party. He starts the party about a half an hour earlier than he normally would. There's not a whole lot of people there, but there's enough that we can get started. So he does all the rules. He does the thing that we do to start to basically put everybody on the same page, in the same mindset, making sure that everybody's quite aware that this is not just a free-for-all orgy fuckfest. This is, you need permission, make sure you have it, and then proceed. So we were there, and I went, of course, and got ready. And then my husband was sitting on the couch across from the bed that I'd basically staked out as my own. And he's like, well, are you going to play? And I'm like, I don't. And somebody from the corner said, if you lay down, they will come. I basically laid down on the bed and pretended like I was a corpse outline, like a chalk outline on the bed with one leg kicked and my arms akimbo at each side, like just weird, just laying down weirdly. And when I opened my eyes, lo and behold, Tay was right there. And it scared me. And I jumped a little bit because that man moves with silence. Of course, the fact that he's wearing no clothes except for a pair of boxer briefs and has no shoes on and has nothing that would jingle jangle, it makes perfect sense that he's moving like a stealth person through the party. Oh, I guess it works. So he came over and he was like, yeah, do you want to play? And I said, absolutely. And he had gotten the impression from some of the stories that I told him that I make a mess, that I maybe squirt. And he was like, this I got to see. So I was like, we start going and we start playing. And he said, and he's like, and I was like, wait, if you want the full show, if you want the full spectacle, I'm going to need you to do me a favor. And he's like, okay, what is that? And of course I told him the hook. You got to get in there. You got to 2 fingers, point them up, and then wiggle, 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 wiggle. So he did the thing, and I was like, yes. So then we went ahead and played, and I told, and we're going along and we're fucking, and I said very, very calmly, I said, when I tell you, when I say now, you pull out. He's like, okay. And couple more. And I said, now. And he pulled out, and he got the full show. He got the full like he got the full first row at Gallagher concert drenching. Okay. He got the full shoulda had a poncho kind of. He was very impressed, and we played, and I'm playing with him, and I guess somebody must have walked in with like the pizza or something. And I could smell the pizza from where I was. And I looked at him and I said, do you smell garlic toast, or am I having an Italian stroke? And I tell you, that joke made me laugh so hard. Okay. Like, I get it. It's the one thing that everybody knows about a stroke. If you smell burnt toast, then, but it was so funny to me, and I was dying, and he was like, oh, I ate some, and I'm like, I wasn't talking about you, crazy man. I was talking about, the pizza that obviously just came in, and he was like, oh, and he did not get the joke. And my husband didn't get the joke. And then I told it to another guy, and he did not get the joke. But you know what? Every female I have told that joke to since it happened got the fucking joke and laughed hysterically. I don't know if this joke is a gender line joke. I don't understand why it would be, but it was so freaking hilarious to me. Anyway, on with the show. So, I'm going to lay out the cast of characters, okay? Really quick. So there was Tay, and then I'll get back to that. Jay, there was Jay. There was Kay, and there was Kilo. There was the guy I'm going to call Captain Morgan. There's a guy I'm going to call Full Blackbeard. There's a guy I'm going to call, this is the guy I'm kind of confused about. I don't know if I should call him Scruffy Blackbeard, or if I should call him the Camel. And the reason that I would call him the Camel is because he had a very particular style. 2 humps and a long stroke. Sorry, that one kills me. So I'm going to call him the Camel, okay? 2 humps and a long stroke. So then there was also the gentleman who in the past has put his finger in my mouth, and we're going to call him the fish hook. Now, this party was a lit party. So it was a black lights everywhere, no lights on anywhere else. Everything was about the glow in the dark aspects. My husband was dressed in bright yellow, and it glowed like a highlighter, and I could see him anywhere I was. And if he walked past the light, he glowed immensely. And so he was actually a beacon of light at sometimes. So he sat in the corner watching me, and he sat with a couple of different gentlemen. One was a fan that I never got to speak to. One, he had shown up at the party because he knew I was going to be there, and he follows the podcast. So thanks for coming. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk. And then another gentleman was talking to my husband about things my husband totally does not understand. As a matter of fact, he was talking about Magic the Gathering, the card game. And my husband thought he was into Harry Potter. Now, all of you Magic the Gathering fans out there are going to giggle at that because it's nothing to do with Harry Potter. But my husband had no clue. And my husband only has like a gentle, like passing knowledge of Harry Potter. So it was hysterical to me that my husband was stuck in this conversation about a game that he totally was expecting it to be something completely different than it was. So like he's in this conversation and has no clue what's going on. So anyway, it was incredibly funny. It was incredibly hilarious. But let's get back to the action. So I was playing with Tay and I was stroking Jay. And I spent a good deal of time at this particular party with either a cock in each hand or a cock in my mouth. And I was doing a lot of really good blowjobs, not like the quick fluffer ones that you sometimes do, even though I did do some of those. I did do fluffer for a very long time. I played with one of the bouncers that comes. I was sucking him off and sucking him, and he got hard, and then when he went to put on the condom, it didn't end up working out, so it was not his day. And so then I was sucking someone else, and there's my memories of this night have to do with how much fucking fun I had, how good spirited everybody was, how laughy and jokey everyone was. And at one point, I had Jay behind me and Tay, and I was in Tay's lap. We were at the corner of the bed, the last corner of the bed that I had not destroyed, but there was a woman on the other side of the bed that I had completely destroyed. And then Minnie Mouse was next to me. And Minnie Mouse was only really playing with her guy. There was a guy that showed up that was apparent that she was with, and he was like, nobody else is playing with her. And I'm not entirely sure why they came, other than to have a birthday party where they could have sex in public. But Minnie Mouse, not only high-pitched, also very performative. Very, oh, yes, oh, fuck, yeah, oh, God, yes, oh, fuck. Now, I am all for everybody having a great time, and I am all for you singing it, sister. But right next to me, right in my ear, at an octave that really should be reserved for dog whistles, I was like, I cannot believe that I have made it to 50 years old without ever even imagining what Minnie Mouse sounds like having an orgasm. But now I know. And I of course told Tay that, and Tay was like, but it was so much fun. It was so funny, and it was so good, and it was such a good time. And I am going to talk more about it. All right, so let's try to get to the spicy side. The thing is that in the middle of these parties, I love a party like this where shit's constantly changing, where the people that I'm playing with are moving in and out and doing puff, puff, pass and tandem and, working together to create as much play as possible in that area. So when that is happening, when the play is moving and it's organic and it's moving and everybody's cooperating and it's a very, everybody's in it for the pleasure, it tends to get a little hazy because shit's moving so quickly. Like I'm having an orgasm and then next thing I know, another guy's having a go and I'm rolling over so that I can get a dick in my mouth and, finger cuffing. And so bear with anybody who tries to tell you a story about a party, because a party tends to give you this insane thought process that it's going to be easier. There's this thought that it's going to be easy to keep track of what's going on, and it's never going to be easy because there's so much stuff that's going on there that it is very difficult to keep track of which person did what. So, that being said, as I may have told you, I started my evening with Tay. And Tay was so much fun. And because of the fact that we'd had this whole chat and he kind of understood my history and he knew that I was doing this podcast and I'd given him some funny stories, he was already very comfortable laughing with me. He was already very comfortable making it fun and giggly. He never went down the road of intensity because I'm not an intensity kind of person. I am not somebody who's looking to get emotionally deep or stare into someone's eyes and feel whatever it is you feel when you're staring deeply into some stranger's eyes. Other than awkward. And I mean, I'm not that, and he knew right away I wasn't that girl. So we played. And because of the fact that we played and we had fun and it was giggly and it was charming, he was so relaxed and so eager to discover joy. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. So he was definitely the kind of play that I really, really enjoy, where he was solid strokes and sped up when it was time, liked to curl in a little bit so that he was rubbing straight over my G-spot. It was the kind of play that really makes my body sing. And because of the fact that he was doing the play that really makes my body sing, he did get splashed a couple of different times. Now, Jay came in, and Jay has always been a bright, bubbly, fun person to be around. And because of the fact that he's bright and bubbly and fun to be around, he's always been a lot of fun to play with. So we went to, I spent a lot of time with Jay's dick either in my hand or in my mouth that evening. He was sort of my go-to pacifier. There were other guys that came over and played, and I didn't get to spend as much time with them, maybe, and I'm sorry for that, but Captain Morgan came in and rocked my world. He had such a great dick, and because of the fact that he was really energetic, I really enjoyed playing with him. Now, let's get back to the camel, because while the camel sounds like a bad thing, it's not. He had a very interesting stroke. Like I said, 2 humps and a long. And then he would do this thing where he'd set his feet, and he did it a couple of different times. And almost knocked over a lamp or two because he was trying to gain purchase on the bedside table. But he would do this thing where he'd set his feet, and then he would do this rapid stroke. And if you've ever had a vibrator that goes on different massage, like that was him. He could do that with his hips. He could do that with his cock, and it was crazy. And he knew that to get started, starting with the zzz, 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 really warmed you up, really got you going. And I was amazed. And calling him the camel is by no way, it was just the easiest way to refer to his stroke, because it really was 2 humps and a long stroke. But it worked. And I don't think that that's disparagement at all, because he was so good. And I found that I had a lot of pleasure. There were a couple of guys that I've played with many, many times that I literally don't remember after if I had an orgasm. I try, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And so there are a couple of guys that I did play with that I can't remember if I ever really got there. But that's not anything unusual, because not every single dick is going to do the thing that my vagina needs it to do. And it's not about size. I'll be frank with you. It's not about size. It's about paying attention to the person you're with. Paying attention to whether or not your positioning and whether or not your angle is doing what it needs to do to create that build, to create that friction. And a lot of times, I'm one of those people that I'm a huge advocate for using lube, just not with me. Because my problem with using lube with me is that because I get so incredibly wet when the fireworks go off, it creates so much moisture that it's very hard to stay inside. I become a slip and slide with fucking Dawn detergent on it. It is like you're sliding away quicker. And I mean, you have no idea how many times it's been this close to surprise anal, which is not fun for anyone. So surprise anal, because of the fact that somebody's using lube and it's like very wet down there, it is like, it just creates the opportunity for everything to slide out and go in the wrong place. And surprise anal, especially at a party, not cool. Because you never can tell what's going to happen there. So I love lube. And anyone who needs lube should never feel ashamed to use lube, because lube is, for 70% of women, necessary for them to get to orgasm. 70% of women find that they achieve orgasm much quicker with lube. And there are times even I need lube, because especially when condoms are drying out the terrain, there are times when I do need lube, and I will speak up and say, hey, we're getting close to the point where I'm going to need this. And it's always readily available. Thank you. But it's important. It's important when you are with someone to know what it is that they need. And don't make assumptions. Talk to them. And so what I find is a lot of times especially at these parties, guys forget that the person that they're fucking is a person. Like, it gets so tunnel vision sometimes at a party where it's like, oh, find hole, do hole, plug hole. And they don't stop to consider that there's a person who is looking for as much pleasure as they are. So, just keep your senses about you while you're pursuing whole. Just you can't go at it mindlessly. That being said, the party itself was a really, really good time. There were enough women playing. There were enough men that were rotating through. And there were enough souls to snatch. And I love to snatch a soul. I do. I love that shit. So, as far as I am concerned, the party, and like I had maybe mentioned previously, I spent a lot of time at this particular party with a cock in my mouth. I was giving honest to God blowjobs. Now, I'm going to get to full black beard. Now, my husband and I went over to talk to my husband because I was sort of on a break, and there was somebody who was being very performative next to my ear that I was like, it was too high pitched for me. So I needed to get out of that situation. So I went and I talked to my husband, and he was sitting next to a gentleman who it was like his first party. And he was sort of, he didn't really know the rules. And I said, and he asked me, are you done playing? And I said, no, if anybody wants to play. And he's like, well, and I said, let's go play. So we went into the other room because I was really hoping to find an area where I could play without having too much distraction nearby. So we went into the other room, and my friend Linda was playing on the other bed, and I took the other bed that was in the room, and we started to play. And I, of course, started with a blowjob. Now, my blowjobs are almost the best thing that I do. Now, mind you, squirting is up there. Squirting is great, but my blowjobs are, I have been called addictive. My mouth has been called addictive. And when I'm in the right frame of mind, I love to give a blowjob. I love to give a blowjob that delivers. So with full black beard, I was giving that kind of a blowjob. I was trying to spur him to action, and he got inside my mouth and went a little dominant. And I cannot say that it did not work for me, because I was sucking his dick and I was focusing on getting him hard. And he was like, no, take it all. Take it all. Take it all. And so he was actually instead of putting my focus at the crown and that special little spot right under, like where the vein ends and the glandus begins, and that little where you just press your tongue and kind of wiggle, he wanted me completely down the shaft. So I was going down the shaft, and as he got fuller and got bigger, it got more difficult for me to get fully down the shaft. And he was like, deep throat me. Do it. Deep throat me. You get on that dick. Deep throat it. And gotta tell you, it was working for me. It was working for me so hard. And I don't know if it was just the moment, But then we sort of got jostled and like pushed over by somebody who was trying to be very performative next to Linda. So I ended up just being like, okay, rolling over. And so he fucked me, and he fucked me really good. And I sprayed him for his trouble. And that was the end of the night for us. That was the capper. And it was a very good way to go out. I had an amazing time at that party. It was probably one of the best parties. And a lot of it has to do with I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel more engaged in my own body. And it's so nice to be back. So nice to be back in this moment where I am 100% me and I can go to these parties and participate fully. I am a huge fan of this whole, I'm a huge fan of this. So I'm glad that I can be back in it fully. So we went to a party last night.
Yep.
It was an evening endeavors party, and it was actually a very close hotel in comparison. So what'd you think?
I thought it was awesome. I think we really had a good time.
Yeah.
It was crowded, but not too crowded, and everybody that was there seemed to be in a good mood. It was good energy. You were in a good mood.
Yeah.
You seemed like you enjoyed yourself, so I thought it was great.
It was the kind of energy that allowed me to actually play for a much longer period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I put in a solid 4-5 hours.
It was 4 hours, 4.5 hours altogether that
Nice.
we were in during playtime.
That's cool. And what was your favorite part of the night?
Well, that's being there and watching lines of guys come and have a good time with you. That's fun. Everybody was having a great time. It was a lot of laughing and joking and serious fucking and just basically exactly what we're there for.
A lot of blowjobs.
I do. Those are one of my most enjoyable things to watch you do because it's very expressive and it's visible, very visible.
Mm-hmm.
That was you really worked really hard. I think it was excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I also had a very good time. And I really appreciate you chit-chatting about this.
Oh, good.
I think it's time to refresh our toy closet. I'm heading over to privateadventures.net because I am running very low. Since the party, I'm running very low on condoms. So it's time to restock with another gross of condoms and find something new. And we got an ice cream cone. Well, my husband calls it an ice cream cone. It's a personal vibe that we take to the parties now. And privateadventures.net has been very helpful in getting us stocked in our play bag. So if your play bag needs a refresh, head on over and let them know I sent you. When you check out, use the promo code PineapplePinup10 to let them know I sent you. Thank you for joining me today on the Pineapple Pinup Hot Wife Life podcast. If you would like to reach out to me, you can always reach me at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on any of my socials that are listed in my show description. If you would like to hit me up on the FetLife, just reach out to me on one of my socials or by email, and I'll go ahead and give you my FetLife name. Thanks.